Some of Toronto's divides are really well known. There's downtown versus the suburbs, there's rich versus poor. But last year, when we started looking at other divides, we realized that there are many people don't really consider. There's precarious work, there's income inequality, there's access to services, and identity. The list goes on and on. We also wondered, how did we get here? Was it a byproduct of amalgamation? And what can we do to learn from past divisions that we've overcome? Last November, we launched our United City, Divided City project to look at these different divisions that are splintering our city. And the more we focused in, the more the cracks began to show. We began to wonder, are we so divided that we can't find any common ground? We didn't think so. On May 13th, Ryerson brought together experts from across the city in transportation, income polarization, immigration, and more. They were asked to bring solutions and present them to some of Toronto's decision makers.
I think Toronto is a divided city. And for me, it's because when I think about income polarization, I think about access to opportunity, access to affordable housing, access to good, stable employment, access to the kinds of things many of us take for granted. And I think as long as we have a city where some people don't have access because of where they live or where they've come from, I think we have a city that is in fact divided.
One of the big problems, I think, is it's not Toronto or the municipality of Toronto. It's a federal government that designs policies that exclude a lot of people. And that applies to landed immigrants who are not yet citizens, who cannot vote at the municipal scale.
We've got way too many people who live here but can't have a vote, and then we have large visible minority communities who don't see themselves reflected on city councils, and I don't think either of those situations is a healthy state of affairs for the city.
Really, the divide is twofold. The divide is in terms of where people want to live and where they can afford to live or think they can afford to live. But there's also a divide in terms of the housing options that are available.
Issues in the transportation sector are really how to get people around and make cities function properly, and for people not to be constrained by congestion on the road network or the transit network. I fear that many decision makers in this realm don't appreciate that you have to be a transit user to be a transit improver.
I don't think we're divided. I think we've got to just navigate through complexity, dynamism, to make sure that we really stay focused on what's important when it comes to the services that people need in this city, and that's to be able to get them when they want them, how they want them, and where they want them.
In our vast city, hundreds of issues have emerged. The Ryerson City Building Institute has decided to focus on 6 of them. We found that when you really dig deep into these issues, the one thing that unites us is hope.
The symposium is going to start a conversation, and the City Builder Institute at Ryerson University is going to be the catalyst for a conversation of how we can bring this divided city together.
The challenge that they gave us is to not just talk about how to do these things, but in fact to come up with a concrete, actionable idea that we can then put out into the universe and actually say, what are we going to do?
And a lot of the solutions that we're talking about not only cross over in terms of issue area, they cross over in terms of jurisdiction.
Do you know, sometimes I wonder when all the usual suspects come together if we're having the same conversation all over again. I feel that this is a bit different. Firstly, because there are some unusual suspects coming to the table. Secondly, because there's momentum, and it's a dialogue with ideas coming from all different aspects of the city. So it fills me with hope.
The city has some issues and problems, but there's so much goodwill, there's so much talent in this city. There's, I guess it boils down to, there's a lot of love in this city that people, especially those who have come from so far around the world, have as gratitude for being in this incredible place called Toronto.
And to have a kind of a brainstorming session like this where a number of mayors meet together with a number of students and other people who are smart people to put forward some ideas that may be a bit bold, to say how are there ways we can include more people and bring them in, I think is going to be fundamental to building a kind of strong, fair city that we need going forward.
So we need to be looking at how we can use what we've got, sweat the asset is how it's called, and within our means, be that financial means and political means, look at what can be done.
I appreciate that Ryerson is showing leadership in convening a whole bunch of folks that would not otherwise necessarily be in the same room together, and to get us focused on ideas that are going to actually result in change.
A united city really means that when it's possible, people live closer to where they live, work, and play in a way that's sustainable, isn't forcing more congestion on the road, is creating more affordable home options to more families.
I think we've turned a corner on trying to get partisan benefit from the divides that exist. I think we're trying to create a more integrated city.
I think there's a very different feeling in the air. We have a new council at City Hall, we have a new mayor. There are a lot of people doing interesting work and coming together around this issue. So it fills me with hope. Are we divided? I think yes. Are we beyond hope? I think no. I believe we have a lot of hope for Toronto.